Hey gorgeous human, and welcome back to Politics Made OK. This week is all about acrobatics. Oh god! Yes! What have I done? Now that might have all looked impressive and painful, but it's not as impressive as the absolute backflip Scott Morrison did this week on electric cars. That's right, the PM made a big announcement on EVs.
Today we are launching our future fuels and vehicle strategy.
Now I don't blame you if you missed it. I mean, he didn't literally do a roly-poly on camera. It's all about commitment. While we may give the government a gold medal this week for its political backflipping, it actually came in dead last when it comes to climate policy. That's right, of the 64 countries ranked after the COP26 climate summit, we were right at the bottom. Behind countries like Kazakhstan, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. I'm actually almost impressed. Like, how did we even manage that? So what could we do better? And what are other countries doing on electric vehicles? I'm gonna run all of this down for you and maybe do some more gymnastic stunts on this week's show of PMO. Welcome viewers to the future.
Great Scott.
Except instead of hoverboards, we're talking electric vehicles. And instead of them being like everywhere, we're talking about a plan to make 8% of the cars on Australian roads be EVs by 2030. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but right now it's less than 2%. Yeah, we really know how to set the bar low, right? This is also like a really huge leap to where we were like 2 years ago when Scott Morrison said this ahead of the 2019 federal election.
It's not going to tow your trailer, it's not going to tow your boat. Bill Shorten wants to end the weekend when it comes to his policy on electric vehicles.
Fast forward like 2 years and one net zero by 2050 climate commitment, and that same man has put $250 million towards EVs. Yet he launched the plan this week, and the $250 million is set to be matched by private companies and be all about ramping up the infrastructure and making sure we have enough charging stations for our EVs at home and in public. The main goal is to get an extra 1.7 million EVs on the road by 2030. I don't think I need to do another roly-poly to really illustrate the level of political backflipping on this one. Now for your context, about 20 million cars are on Australian roads right now, and that all contributes to about 10% of this nation's emissions. Of those 20 million, just like 1.5 are electric. But yeah, the government's planning on quadrupling that by the end of the decade through that charging infrastructure. Now, I don't know about you, but the lack of charging stations, that's not the main thing stopping me from buying an EV. It's the fact that the cheapest EV I can find is about $40,000. Let's be honest, your girl, she just doesn't have that kind of cash. To give you an idea, this is what I drive now.
Yep, my trusty old Mazda. Some of the damage over here, I mean, I just haven't really looked after her. And that just pops right in. But she gets me from A to B. And it was about all I could afford.
And this holds true for most average families in Australia and really like the whole world. That's why a lot of countries have actually come up with like subsidies and tax breaks or tax credits to actually get people incentivized for buying EVs. In the UK, grants of about $4,000 are on offer. In Canada, there are point of sale incentives of about $5,000. In France, there's a subsidy of about $9,000. And in the US, they've got this tax incentive that offers up to a whopping $12.5 thousand as a tax credit. And in Australia, yeah, we've got no subsidies. Zero, zilch, nada. And that's because in Scott Morrison's words, they're not going to force Australians to buy a certain kind of car.
We're not going to tell them what to buy. We're not going to tell them where to drive or where they can't drive. We're not going to tell them how to live their lives and interfere. Australians will make their own choices.
Yep, because in the federal government's eyes, offering us an incentive is taking away our free will. It's like you arguing that just by putting a treat in front of me is forcing me to take it. Oh, what are you doing? No, please, no, don't make me. Oh God, why? Why? I don't want it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. I can't stop. That's actually not so far off from what happens when I do get off at a Sunday. I mean, electric cars, once you've bought them, cost a lot less to run. According to Australia's Electric Vehicle Council, an EV will cost you about 70% less than a petrol car. They estimate that fuel on average is about $1.50 a litre. Man, I'd love it to be that cheap again. While electric vehicles as an equivalent would cost you like 33 cents a litre. So is the fact that it's cheaper in the long run also taking away my free will? You've also got to love that like the day the federal government announced all of this, the New South Wales government put out like a PASAG press release. And that release was like, well, not that anyone's asking, but here are our subsidies. Which is actually pretty good. There are like $3,000 rebates you can get for buying an EV. The other funny thing that I can't get over is while Australia is obsessing about EVs, the OG EV pioneer Elon Musk has moved on to rockets.
Laboratory in orbit.
Yeah, he's probably just up there on the moon right now with his kid, R2-D2. Just looking down on us, being like, oh, look at them down there, getting together an EV policy. Trying to get more people to buy electric cars. To be driven on roads. Oh, how provincial. Yes, I know he's South African. That was just his high and mighty voice. Because he can't really get much higher than the moon. That does bring us to the end of another show of PMO. I'm interested. Do any of you have electric vehicles? Or are you saving for one? Do you want to buy one? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss a thing as I bring you weekly episodes of Politics Made OK. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, listening to my podcast, Bubble Pop, that airs on Fridays, wherever you eat podcasts. And I'll catch you next time on the show. Maybe one of these days I'll record from the moon. Hit me up, Elon.